Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. This is your host, Sir Stephen Hatt III at your service. Let's get to the point. We're going to talk about the original book of the Thomas the Tank Engine. Now, the original book just doesn't tell you a story. It contains three generations of the family, of the Hat family, and their connections and their friends, and why there's so many anagrams in play. Now, to be honest with you, I looked through this book as many times as you want, and then I discovered that the map is actually Norfolk upside down with the railway routes with everything on it on top. So it's basically the original McCoy. So the story starts out in Generation 1, which starts off with it would normally start off with Book 1, the three engines, which it normally started it off, right? That starts in 1845. Now, I could give you a little hint of this one because Sir Topham Hatt Sr. was born on that year as well, and then he makes friends, connections, colleagues, etc. along the route. Henry, the Green Engine, is based off the Curry family. Now, which is true. And then the Gordon is the Grizzly connection. So, overall, there are three engines running the island at the time. By the early 1900s, this is where the story gets tense. A lot of things have happened, and a lot of things have occurred. By then, Sir Topham Hatt Sr. died on June 1935, which makes Audrey write the book based on the beginning of 1845. Audrey wrote the book in 1934, but published it in that time. By 1935, then he wrote the rest of it in his own way of the coordination of the way the book has been unfolded. But the truth is, it's basically based on us, based on the past, present, and the future. So by the time he got to me, there are 42 books in general, but a big book, the original McCoy book that you normally get, the big book, the big book, which tells you all the stories, Thomas doesn't come in until that time period of the early 1900s. So basically, when my ancestor picked up the next descendant of the Hat family was my grandfather, Sir Topham Hatt I, who was born in 1934, a year before Senior died. Now, now, even that's been said and done, Thomas himself, my great uncle Herbert, was born in early 1920s, which makes him 84 years old when he died on me. Yes, 84 years of age. Thank you very much indeed. But my great auntie Molly died first, which is Molly, who we got reincarnated in season 7 in Molly's special. So, look at it now, logically, we get to a point of its beginning of its time. I stated in the obvious fact that what my private contact from America was stating is that my ancestor was the last one to see the my grandfather, if you like to call him correctly, Sir Topham Hatt I, was the only one who witnessed the actual E2, the last running E2, before it got completely burnt out and scrapped. Now, that is true. My grandfather lived his life, he got married, had a kids, and all of that. And then I come into the picture in 1983, October the 10th, the day that Thomas went public. Now, a lot of this is all true to the point, which is true. I'm not going to lie on that. And the book unfolded so well it timed it right too, because my ancestor, Sir Topham Senior, had what you will call a way of railway thinking, and he's not a normal railway man on the block. He is a succulent like me, right? His reputation has got tarnished, ruined as the time went on. Even when my grandfather was trying to sort this problem out, he couldn't because he had to produce an heir to continue the bloodline, which he did, which made Charles Topham Hatt II come into the light. Then I came into the light on October the 10th on the 1983. But I didn't start on the railway until 5 years later, so work it out, I was nearly 5 years age. So from that on in, the timeline is correct. It's just it's very, very slow in real time. So from 1845 to this present day, I'm now looking for my lady hat because the next bit of the timeline has already been written as well. So what's the Thomas to take everything in reverse and bumps your uncle? You got all the answers there. All the anagrams were all in that book, and I tell you, reading it is so fascinating. But there are so many strings to pull, ties that link us together. We are a family. We are more than just what you expected. And it's not a normal thing to live with, but it is the one thing we have to live with. Now, when Christopher Audrey was born, he witnessed everything that was unfolding as well. So he had to play his role in this as well. He did a book called So-Called Reading Between the Lines, which is true. And within that, there's a lot of facts in there too. But the island facts are false because time moves on. But the whole thing was that my grandfather kept my identity a secret. So he really put my name into an anagram to stop me from knowing myself from within until the time was right. Until I turned the age of 37, as my private connection in the United States said, there is no confusion and delay here. But something's going to crop up in a minute or two, and people are going to start complaining on the station, which is true. It's playing out the role of the fat controller from season 1 to 24 again. So realistically, from 24 to season 1, then season 1 to 24. It goes backwards and forth for every generation. So, my next one in line is my granddaughter. Now, without my lady hat, where is she? Where is she? You know, the original book says it all, obviously, and states everything, even the TV show, which I will also state. I said it's taking time after time after time. I I initially looked through everything, even the books, details, the language, everything. The language does exist. I mean, not cuckoo. There's only two sets of family that do this language, and it's the Audrey family and myself. Now, at this point, I'm going to the Albion, which is in Knapford, / Cromer. Now, Sheringham is Wellsworth. Then you have West London and East London as Crosby. And then you basically got the bit added on with the rest of the lines that no longer exist. But you got Orsted still, because you got Orsted Castle, which is Norwich Castle. So Norwich is Orsted. So the rest of the line's still there for Thomas. The original Thomas route. Yeah, still intact. And Toby's, of course, going to Yarmouth, which is Arlesburg West and Bluffs Cove area. So it's all there, but in black and white. It's just that the rest of the lines have been dismantled thanks to Dr. Beakley in 1969. So, realistically, what did you lose? Dieselisation came along as I was only 3 or 4 years of age. I said to my mother when I was young, I said to her, I don't like diesels. That's the first word I came out with. Every time I went over the bridge, I wanted to wait for a train. Why? Learning about time. Train time. Basically, you're either in 10 minutes late early or you're 10 minutes late. That's how the story works. The timeline works, and the time works for all steam trains and diesels alike. We have to automatically have 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after. Why? The passengers have to get off and on. So realistically, we still have to do that time. So if the train came at, let's say, 12 o'clock, right, and it was on the platform, it's late, right? If it was 10 minutes later, it's late. It's gone beyond its time schedule. If it was 10 minutes early, it's on time. That's that, it's a fact and it's the truth. Plus my buffers on this one. Obviously, Thomas would say that. If he wasn't on time, he'd be angry, and it really would initially. And I would say, listen, black and white. So the new book, which it will come out effectively, will have 6 volumes to it, which will continue the original book and where it stands, and my next generation of the families. Of course, that's what we're aiming for, and we're gonna get that. But you want to know what does she look like, or what she's supposed to look like? Blonde hair, average build, a little bit taller than me, obviously. Um, in her early 30s or less, at least. At least. You're not talking about a 40-year-old or above, because it'd be too late. Um, because you have to have someone that knows about you, or knows about me, more likely. You know what I mean? So realistically, it's all there in black and white. And as I look through these books myself, I said the dates are wrong. Period. I said Sir Topham Hatt I was born in 1934 and then died after I was born. A couple of years after I was born. So, so realistically, I continue the bloodline and then basically let it play out. We always have to let the story play out as it goes to a point. But without Lady Hat, for this generation, the fourth and the fifth generation of the Hat family will no longer exist. And I'm the only one who could carry the bloodline right now. So realistically, guys, just look at it and read it and read the book itself. For older generations, you should understand this really well. Read the books, watch the TV show. It tells you exactly what I've been through, and it's no joke. And I would never lie about that. And it will not, and won't suit my grace, of course, as like it always did. You know, there was a lot of things about what has been told is true, which is true. We read the books ourselves. My friends, my family, my connections, you were all brought up with it. Even 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 people of today, they're reading it today as a fictional side. I said there's a reality side to it because it's a reality timeline, 1845 all the way to the future. So work it out. It doesn't take long to get the dates right, even that. So the original book itself may have 42 books, but it's bigger. Let me say this in one time. Small on the outside, bigger on the inside. Because you're dealing with 3 generations right now. So now I got to do my part, fixing the timeline, get everything done correctly by the book. Get married, have a kid, get the kid to do the bit of work, and then it goes to his his kid, and then it'll be my granddaughter, Emily Helen Hatt. I hope that makes it a little bit more clearer on a lot of things that you can't see. For a lot of people that don't understand Southern language, or Sudric as they call it, don't believe what you see on the internet sometimes, especially when it's written with false information. This is real life information that I'm giving out now, and the new book will be ready when it's ready. But there are more questions that need answering now, but that will have to wait. So, there you go. The original book of the TTTE has a lot of anagrams, and I'm just pointing that as a fact, while the fact has been staring at you. You know, the truth has been revealed thanks to a private contact of mine saying he's Hatt, Stephen Topham Hatt now. And that's me. Thank you very much.